Hello, hello, hello. This is Pharaoh and welcome back to Faenura Park episode 2 in Planet Coaster 2. And today we're skinning the flatride you're seeing. The parallelogram in-game, the magic carpet out of game. I'm not 100% sure, but that's the one we are skinning today. And like I said in the last episode, this is going to be a high budget park. That means our flat rides are gonna get the high level treatment as well. And I'm really thinking of Efteling while building this. I'm really thinking about the theming, integrating, having a story behind the flat rides. There's a few flat rides in Efteling that have no story at all, like the swinging ship, but it's still reasonably well decorated. Now this ride is going to be part of the story of the park and really gets the full treatment. If you know Villa Volta and the Efteling, that's basically where I'm going with this. And the story behind this ride is this is going to be the mansion of a baron, and the baron lives in one of the areas of the park, and the area is called Durnhold. And Durnhold is like the baron's area. He lives there, and it's the evil dark area of the park. That's why I have more exciting rides there, like the coaster in the background. We'll get to that in the next episode, but also high excitement flat rides like the parallelogram here. This baron is evil. He hates the other creatures that live in the other areas of the park, and when they get near his mansion or disturb him, he petrifies them. He petrifies them literally with fear. And the idea behind the dark ride is that you get on the dark ride. It's a scary dark ride, but if you overcome your fear, you won't get petrified by the baron. And that's the idea behind this ride. I can't wait till we get custom audio, because I want that story told in the park. We're getting it. They've already announced it, but for now we don't have it. So I've been building for 6 hours to get this build going. Maybe a little bit more even. But eventually we got there, and it took me so many hours that I was like, you know what? This is gonna be the whole episode. The whole episode is gonna revolve around our flat ride and skinning it. Because I think I've done some interesting things here to make it work and really get that high budget feel in there. So if you enjoyed that, please leave a like on the video, and let's get into Faenura Park episode 2. First things first, I want this to be like a neoclassical mansion. And the mythology pieces, of course, lend themselves perfectly for them. But as I was building it at first, and you'll see that in a bit, it started to look like an old Roman building. So I needed to move a few things around to get it the way I want it to. And I'm designing this as I go along, so you will see during the episode that the front will change, the exit will change. I'm also getting a feel for all the pieces in the game, so you know that's a learning curve. But I am really excited about learning all the pieces in the game, and I found so many just by building this build. And the textures are so good. nowadays. I'm really happy, and the way this turns out is, yeah, it's one of my favorite flatride skins of Planet Coaster 1 and 2, because this is my only flatride skin in Planet Coaster 2 up until now, but I'm really happy with how this is turning out. We're skipping a few bits in the video, but here you can see the front, well, I should say side of the building is already changing, because the front of the building is going to be part of the cube. But you can see I'm already changing a few things here. So you come out into the cave, you come into the cave and you come out of the cave. So the idea behind it in the story is that you're going into his cellar and then making your way up to the right. I thought that would be a nice idea to implement, and it worked. You can also see I've started making the windows rounded instead of square like in the start, and this flatride is really developing as I go along. Eventually I'm gonna put a roof on it for the front of the facade, a red roof. The tiled roof I really like, and yeah, that makes it work for the build I wanted to do, the mansion. This build is maybe best looked at night. You'll see that by the end. But I think, yeah, it is going to go well. With a basic facade in place, so I kind of know what I want to build, I've started work on the inside, because I do need to do a lot of the work on the inside, so it would be a dumb idea to make the whole building and then work on the inside. Now at least I can see from the top what I'm doing. And like I said, you're going into the cellar of the ride, of the mansion. And I just left the simulation running so I could see where the people will move to get into the ride, and I made hallways accordingly, so it works. They're sometimes clipping through a wall. They're also clipping through the base of the ride, I saw, but in general this works. It really gives you that feel that it's part of the story and not just a hollow shell building. That's what I wanted to avoid. I wanted not that you were like in there and oh, this is empty, but oh, there's a ride, okay, cool, looks cool on the outside but there's nothing on the inside. No, I want it to be interactive, part of the whole park from all angles, so inside and outside. That means we're gonna be skinning a lot of flat rides for this park as well, so they look really good. I'm also skinning the carousel in the middle of the square. Don't worry, it's going to be a more classical skin job, but I want every ride and every coaster and every dark ride to get the same treatment in this park. That means high level, high budget designing, and yeah, that's what you're seeing me do. So here I'm working out where all the hallways are, and then I can start decorating them. Quite simple, because you know it's just a ride that people go, part of the ride that people go to quickly because they want to get into the ride. But I don't know, it feels like a bit of a pre-show if you already are in the vibes of the whole ride when you're going through. A challenge with that was that the people are almost as high as the platform is of the ride, and I needed to make the hallways a bit higher to make it acceptable for people to go through, otherwise they would nearly miss the ceiling. I'm a very tall person, I know how that feels, So I made the walls 3 meters high, and I need to work out how to get them nice and how to fit the skin of the ride around it. But I think I did a decent job. Now here I had an idea. I wanted to use this animatronic to make a arm that moves according to if the ride is unloading or loading. So it would open if it's loading so people can get on the ride, and it will automatically steer the people who are unloading towards the exit. And when people are loading, it opens up and it breaks you off from the exit path, so you're forced to go into the ride. I thought that would be a nice touch, but however, as you can see here, there's only a play on trigger button for these animatronics. And basically what I wanted was an activate and deactivate. Because with play on trigger it just opens up a little bit and closes again. And that's exactly what I didn't want. I wanted it to activate, open for a while and deactivate then. So a bit of a shame. I was hoping I could make it work. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I can make the event longer. I don't know. We were trying to figure this out in the stream. I couldn't really figure it out, and a few friends couldn't really figure out to make it work like that. If activating and deactivating is a thing they add in the future, I would hopefully see that, and hopefully implement it soon. Comment if you know a solution that I might not have thought of. I put in a floor, just a simple hardwood floor. I think a mansion would have a hardwood floor, so seems like a good idea. I also started to put in these beams, so it looks like the floor is being carried, the top floor is being carried, and put in a little bits and pieces of decoration. Not too much, because the people are just running through this towards the ride, so I didn't want it to be overly themed, but it felt like it still needed a bit of theming, you know. I found this wall. It's a different one from the Viking fence, but I found this wall that's half rounded and decided to put that in to cover up the ugly curb that the ride has, and try to integrate everything in there and give it a bit more of texture also underneath than just the walls. I think that worked really well. The beams also worked nicely as a hanger, and just to make it a bit more interesting when you're downstairs there. Started decorating the inner walls with this jetty piece, which I very much like. Again, the textures of wood in this game are really, really good, and I really like them. But it just worked for me to have the walls covered with wood. Looks just a bit better, a bit warmer, and makes it also different from the top side. The top side is gonna have walls with windows, and I wanted a different vibe from that in the basement. So more the basement feel, so to say. And it worked. It worked really well. And now I'm putting flooring for the first floor, or decorating around the flatride. And now with that in place, the whole cellar was done. And now that you have that feeling that you're going up to something, and it's not just, oh, there's the ride. No, it's a mystery. It adds to, hopefully, the tension that you feel before going in a ride like this. Oh, here you can see it a bit. And that was really what I wanted to do here. I do have to admit that I had a bit of trouble decorating the top side. Not 100% sure what I wanted to do, but eventually I decided to use this Zeus statue. I guess it's... oh, Poseidon statue. It says it on the side. The Poseidon statue to make a big statue that the parallelogram goes towards and gives you that feeling that you're about to impact something. And this is the point that I decided that the face of this Poseidon character, this one, is going to be the Baron. This is going to be the Baron. I know it's not. He doesn't look like a Baron too much, but I also don't want to be making too much custom pieces now, because like I said in the last episode, my computer is not the best computer, and it carries the game nicely, but I'm afraid that if I use too many pieces already, I can't finish the whole park because it will get too heavy, and I want to show you guys what I'm building. So I decided to keep the area kinda open there, especially as you went to the claustrophobic cellar. I thought it would be a good idea. And here I'm just trying to figure out where all the walls are and what the size of the roof is going to be. I did a bit of work on the inside, adding the pillars to the first floor and adding the braziers to the pillars and some of the mythology lights, I think they're called. I wanted to trigger them to turn on and off during the ride. Again, not possible. They are not triggerable. Yeah, they're not triggerable. A bit of a disappointment. So my success with the sequencing is not good at the moment, but we'll get more chances in the future probably. And now it's time to design those outer walls. And this is the front of our building, even though it's not pointed towards the square. But I wanted the front of the building to be part of the story that you get in the queue. And that's what I'm doing here. I wanted to have like a hallway and a stair down to the ground. Like big doors that you could enter in at one point, but now you can't anymore. So you have to go in through the cellar. So I wanted the story in the queue to make sense, and make sense why you have to go in through the cellar. I also needed to fit that because, you know, the ride works like that. So I needed something to for that, and you're gonna see that there's like ruined pieces at the front door and stuff. And when I'm designing it, I made more room with the queue, so it's easier for me to terraform and build around that. Also, a lot of people were needing the toilet, so I built a quick toilet building in there. Let's move on. I eventually got a gate in the doorway and started designing this big door. I used signs again to make the hinges. They work. I think I have used signs more for other stuff than that they are signs, but it works. It works really well. And here I'm just trying to make the suggestion of hinges on the door. And we now have this big door looming over you while you go through the queue. And I think that was a nice touch. After rearranging the queue a bit, I started to work on the roof and wanted to get the roof finished so I could concentrate on decorating the outside. I was really looking forward to decorating the outside because of all the plans and the story that's in my head. So I'm mostly just fiddling around with the roof pieces to get them to line up nicely with the walls. There's like a double wall in here, inner wall and outer wall. So I could fiddle around a little bit with the dimensions. After the roof, I started making a wall for the outside, and I didn't want it to be straight. I wanted it to be a bit janky. Again, much inspiration by the Efteling. And I created this roof, and I used this resort piece to make like a tiling on top of the wall, and with the decals in place, it eventually became a lovely lift-in wall. Then after I finished my wall, it was time to work on the outside, and something Efteling does, and I wanted to steal as well, is they use a lot of water around every ride they have. There's always an element of water in there, be it a small fountain or a lake or waterfalls, and I decided to implement that here too. And you can see that it makes a lot of difference with the whole area. So I decided to make a bit of a moat in front of the mansion. It's not really a moat, it's more natural water, but it just adds so much. And this was why I was so excited to start doing the outside of the building, because yes, we made a building, and yes, we made a nice outside, but doing that scenery all around it makes it come alive, and for sure that really happened with this build. Now I was looking what I could use to wall off the sides of the water. I started with these rocks. I didn't like it. I used that technique too much. Then I remembered the hedges. And the hedges, they fit very well with the mansion. But also, look how they look. They look really good. It's not that green block that you had in Planet Coaster 1. It's a hedge with little leaves and little twigs sticking out. And in my opinion, they rock. And I'm glad I used them here because it fitted very well. And also the mud coloring, beautiful. Really like it. The terrain paints are so much more subtle and you can do so much more with them, and really enjoyed that. I also decide to use the arrow bush. If you're missing the scaevola, the arrow bush is your friend. It fills it up nicely and yeah, works really well as that floor covering that scaevola. We used a lot of scaevola for in the first game, so I could advise you to use that. I used it a lot in Planet Zoo too, where I think this model also comes from. Here I'm also doing a bit more to the front of the building. Just give it a few more details with the fences and acting as like a fake balcony, so to say. And now it suddenly all starts coming together. Of course, I cannot ignore the section in the middle, so I'm using again those lovely hedges to make a nice designed area for the middle with a few trees and some cypress, just to make it look nice. This you would see this at these neoclassical houses, the more classic gardens like this, and I think that fits very well with the whole area and the way I wanted this area to be designed. Because even though it's the quote-unquote evil area, I didn't want it to look evil. And that's what I'm trying to do here mostly. I'm riding quickly the coaster you're going to see next week, so see this as a little bit of a tiny spoiler for the next episode. I'm saying next week, but this episode is also coming faster than a week, so I don't know when it's gonna come, but it's gonna come. I'm putting in some cracks again on the outside of the other side of the wall, and now it's time to decorate the area on the outside of the mansion. And this is also the first time I'm gonna dive into the scenery brush to do the outside foliage for this ride and the queue. And I do have to say, I think the scenery brush has its uses. I think when I'm decorating close up to a path or to a ride, I think I want more control. But for what I'm using it now, I'm trying to make a custom brush here with some of the trees in there that I want to. I chose pine for this area because it fits more with I don't know, it fits more with the evil vibe. I think pine are evil trees, and deciduous trees are good trees. That makes no sense what I'm saying, but you know, and that's a feel for me. I made the wall there a little bit longer, hit the end into a bush, and yeah, I quickly made this perimeter with that terrain brush, and you can see I'm still editing it, so it, in my opinion, fits a little bit better than that it did. But yeah, it works. It works. And now I'm looking for a floor piece to make the entrance of the mansion. And like I said, I don't want people to get the idea that they can get into those big doors. So I used a lot of the rubble and ruin to make like a scene out of it. So the rubble suggests that you can't go in here. It's old. It's worn down. Of course, there's a fence, and the fence holds the people out of that area anyway, unless they're assholes and climb over the fence. But I just wanted something to make it seem logical that there's an end point there, and of course also use the creosote bushes and some other green foliage to suggest it's been abandoned for a time, because everything there is overgrown. I'm looking for the statues, and I was looking for the stone visitor, I think it's called. I eventually found them. Scrolling, there they are. Stone guests. That's the word I was looking for. The stone guests are this. And these are going to represent the petrified people of Faenura that have been petrified by the evil Baron. And that's the scene you walk past while getting into the ride. And it tells the story of the ride without any words or audio, because we don't have that yet. But as soon as it is there, I'm gonna try to incorporate also some voice work in this ride. And here I'm slowly up filling the square where the petrified people are. They've grown into the leaves on the ground, so it really hopefully feels like they've been there for a long time. That's what I'm aiming towards. And slowly this whole area is becoming what I want. The story is being told, and it's coming together. After that, I did some fence work, as you can see here. I didn't like the way the path looked with the red vinyl path, so I decided to change the path, get rid of the fences and make my own fences, and I used another type of path that looked more natural for what I wanted here. Lighting, of course, is very important, and I wanted this square that is of course part of the queue to be lit up correctly, and wanted to keep it realistic, so I used the spotlights here to get a nice color in there. And also you can see here the face of the Baron looking down from the square up into to the petrified people. I kind of like that idea. Of course it's not the Baron, it's beside him, but shh. But the lighting, yeah, I'm trying to get some color in there, make it work. I think I go for the purple and teal, which are two contrasting colors, which I think works well. And now our mansion looks ominous in the dark. Of course, we do need a ride name, and it's gonna be Durnholt Manor. Not too hard. I really love these signs without a backboard, just letters. Works really well, and makes for far easier building, to be honest. Now, the final pieces I'm doing is just lighting up the front of the manor as well, getting some color in there. I think I decided to do it red. Yeah, there we go. Red, to have it ominous in the dark. There we go. There's Durnholt Manor covered in different colors. And I'm also looking for a lantern that might fit. I had a bit of trouble to find a lantern that fits for this area, and I'll be honest, I didn't feel like making my own lanterns. Also, again, piece count. But I think these lanterns work fine. And I light up the queue, and that's about it. That's the whole manor done. We can now have a look at the queue and the manor. And here we go into the queue area for the tour of the manor, and I'm really happy with how this looks. It fits so well. And then here you look at that ominous scene where the Baron looks down at the petrified people, and there's rubble and overgrowth, but it just sits so ominous in the sideline. I'm really happy with how that looks. And then you can walk into the area. I need to remove that ivy. It's a bit overdone, but oh well. And then you go through the cellar and up towards the right. And there it is. Durnholt Manor is done, and people are now riding in a fully themed, high budget flat ride. And if you like the video, please leave a like, maybe consider a subscribe, and I'm gonna see you next time, guys. So for now I'm gonna say bye bye.